So, you have quit your job during the Great Resignation and for whatever reason, you are regretting your decision and want to go back to your old job. You've realized that the grass isn't greener on the other side and that you've made a big mistake. You're missing your coworkers or how close your old office was to your home, the benefits you had, heck, even those long team meetings with the boss. Well, you are not alone. 2 years after the pandemic changed the world, the Great Resignation, or the Great Reshuffle as some prefer to call it, isn't slowing down anytime soon, regardless of the economic challenges on the horizon. There are more job openings than available workers to fill them, which gives employees a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create a better life for themselves. According to a USA Today poll, 1 in 5 US employees who made that leap now admit they didn't think through the implications of what they were doing. And as a result, 30% of new workers are quitting their new jobs within 90 days of recruitment. You've realized that you've made a mistake switching jobs, but where do you go from here? Do you go back? Or do you move forward and find yourself a new job that is a better fit than the one you just started? Will your former boss even want you back? That's what this video is all about, the essential checklist you need to make for yourself with the pros and the cons before deciding if you should return to your former company or just move on. So, what happened to make so many workers regret a decision that was meant to change their lives for the better? Well, 43% of those surveyed by JobFit said that their new role didn't quite meet their expectations. 34% say a specific incident made it impossible for them to remain in a new position, and 32% mentioned poor company culture as the reasons for quitting. And while many of the quitters look for new jobs, many are reaching their previous employers to try and go back to their old job. 62% to be more precise, according to WorkHuman's latest research report. This percentage increases to 69% if they started a new job during the pandemic. And this is what we call boomerang employees, workers who voluntarily left a job at an organization only to return to that organization at a later date. And I guess the best possible example of a boomerang employee is Steve Jobs, who famously left Apple in 1985 only to return 11 years later. Now, the major problem that these boomerang employees face is that, historically speaking, companies were very much opposed to rehiring former employees. In fact, some even had formal policies banning them, because they were afraid it would seem like they were rewarding disloyalty and that it would hurt company morale, encourage others to leave as well. But as we know, times are changing. As bosses struggle to fill those empty job vacancies, the idea of getting back their old employees sounds better than ever. For starters, because it would take them less time to acclimate and learn what they need to get up to speed. Their training time would be considerably shorter. Also, they can take advantage of their acquired skills, the things they learned at the jobs they had before coming back. And as a result, boomerang workers accounted for 4.5% of all new hires last year versus 3.9% in 2019. And the speed of their return is rising too. The average US worker who came back took 17.3 months versus 21.8 months in 2010. And this increase in boomerang employees can also be attributed to a brand new attitude by companies who are doing their best to keep the doors open and not burn any bridges. Ex-employees are now being seen as alumni, people who continue to keep in touch with while asking for employee feedback to try and correct the reasons that led these workers to quit in the first place, all to make sure they will feel good about returning to that company in the future. Now, for workers, the pros of going back are simple. For starters, for financial benefits, if your new job brought you more experience and a higher salary, that gives you better leverage for negotiating your return. Also, if your old company has grown since you left, because that way you're familiar with how the business works while enjoying the advancements it made since you left. Also, of course, if you miss your old team and are excited about the prospect of being reunited with them. Now, at this point, becoming a boomerang employee may sound ideal and you may be ready to pick up the phone and call your old boss. But before you do that, here are the cons of going back to your old job. Now, for the workers who've stayed with the company while their colleagues left, having one of them return to a senior position or earning a higher salary could impact morale or lead them to withholding support or help. Also, the problems that made you leave may still be there. In fact, research shows that returning workers often end up leaving a second time for the exact same issues. And while it is easier for you to return to a company you already know, it may also mean extra pressure to perform when compared to starting a new job. You won't be given the benefit of the doubt as a new worker will, meaning boomerang workers are also much more likely to get fired when they don't live up to the manager's expectations. So tell me, after all has been said and done, what do you think? Are you still considering going back to your old job? Do the pros outweigh the cons for you? Leave me a comment below letting me know your decision, or just to say hi.